He's born in the United States. I think Riverside, California. Reg will be calling. Is that right, Riverside?
Riverside, California.
All
Yes,
right.
not international.
Reg has Lakers Suns. That'll be at 10:30. Yeah. Hey, I've been buying into the Suns. They're fun to watch. It's a young team. I don't know if they're going to develop into anything special. I'm in early on the Phoenix Suns, Reg.
And they've been chippy as of late.
Yes.
Have you been seeing some of the little skirmishes and the little scrapes that have kind of, arose from different games? I kind of like the chippiness. But for you to say that, you were all in with the Lakers 2.5 months ago. The Lakers were your team, the up-and-coming young team.
They still are.
Now you're back. Well, you get a chance.
I got to watch them both.
You got to watch them both. By the way, for your all-international team, would Patrick Ewing consider that a little bit, right? Wasn't he
Bahamas? Jamaica
or Bahamas, one of the two, right? Would he be? But I'm with you. I'm starting my all-international team with Hakeem the Dream.
Did he get any of your shots?
Who's that?
Hakeem.
He could get all my shots.
No, did he block any of yours?
He blocked all my shots. He blocked all my shots in the middle.
His footwork was so good. For a big man, I thought Hakeem is underrated, man. I think he's so much fun to watch, and the great footwork. He was different. I thought he could have played a different position. If he was 6'3", I thought he could have played in the league. A lot of these big guys, if they were 6'3", didn't have the talent level, I thought Olajuwon would somehow been able to play in the league.
He's on my all-time, starting 5 team at power forward. I have Kareem at center.
Okay.
Remember, you and I were having this discussion about who's our small forward for so many years. It was Larry Joe, but remember how I kept saying, I've got to let it go, and
yep.
LeBron was my 3, and obviously MJ is 2, and Magic is 1. So that's how much love and respect I have for Hakeem the Dream and, what he's meant. You say underrated. Having played against him, there was nothing underrated about his game. I mean, He was a nightmare. A nightmare.
Or a dream.
Dirk,
if
you're a Rockets fan.
Dirk goes for $30,000 last night. I said that you can't write the history of the NBA without mentioning that certain players changed the game. Bill Russell, I think, changed the game. Michael changed the game. I think Dirk Nowitzki changed the game for big men coming in because 25 years ago, Dirk is on the low post. Dirk Nowitzki changed for anybody who's 6'8" and taller that you could be a perimeter player.
And not only that, the floodgates really opened for international players by looking at the success of Dirk. And, arguably, and I will say this, he's probably the best big man shooter the game has ever seen. Certainly 7-footer. And the skills that he possessed because he was that inside-outside threat. If you look at a lot of the international players and look at our game today, how so much is predicated with having a stretch 4 and a stretch 5, being able to knock down threes, be the trailer on a break and knock down threes. That's all because of Dirk. Mm-hmm. So congratulations, big fella. I mean, having played against him, another one of those guys, think about the golden age of power forwards during that 90s and 2000s where you had Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, you had Dirk, you had Steve Webb. I mean, you had Rasheed Wallace, Antonio McDyess. I mean, it was just an unbelievable position to play back in the day.
Is Dirk better than Larry Bird?
No, but I could see where people could love to make the comparison. It was totally 2 different games. I thought Larry was a much better passer and probably rebounder, and Dirk's a better shooter, probably a better scorer, though yeah. Larry had his moments. But I can see where people could make the parallel and make the case. But if you're asking me personally, my opinion, I'm going with Larry Joe.
Do you have a Nowitzki story?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I do not. I do not.
Would have made for good
I was
radio
a
if you
fan.
did. Can you make
Or
up one?
TV.
Make up one, Reg.
I cannot make up one. Sorry.
Did you make fun of his hair when he first came into the league?
Well, what's funny is Charles and I were on a Nike. Well, I do have a Dirk story. Charles and I were on a Nike tour, and we were overseas playing in Spain, I believe, and in Germany for this Nike tour. It was Gary Payton, myself, I think Jason Kidd, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Sir Charles, myself, and a few other Nike guys. And we actually saw Dirk at, I believe it was 15, 16, or 17. And I'm saying to myself, man, this kid, he was in the middle of between the free throw lane and underneath the rim, on his knees, shooting shots like at 15 or 16, and just swishing them in. I'm like, who is this kid? I mean, lanky, skinny, but had the follow through. And Charles was like, well, I want to try to get him to go to Auburn. Still 15 or 16. I'm like, Charles, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'll try to get this kid to go to Auburn. I'm like, good luck with that. And the rest was history. So we saw Dirk at a very, very early age. And, I mean, I'd heard of the name. I didn't know anything about it. But when he came over, I was like, there's no way his game is going to be able to translate. But 30,000 points later, it has translated people.
Translate this for me. Charles Barkley and Lonzo Ball's dad, like this is getting personal between these two. That Charles fires back at Lonzo's dad to say, let him just be a kid here. And then Lonzo's dad talking about Charles' playing career and didn't win a championship. Where's this headed?
Once again, Charles is ruffling the feathers of people. But look, Charles has a point, though, because and I think we said this on the show last week. Already Lonzo has a bullseye on his back because he's that freshman phenom, okay? We understand that. Freshman probably player of the year. He has UCLA ranked number 3. The team is playing well going into the Pac-12 tournament or the tournament. And now your dad is coming out saying you're better than, the 2-time MVP Steph Curry. Even if you believe that, a father has every right to say that and believe that. But you're putting even a bigger and higher expectations on your son where, there's guys that are, lacing up their shoes saying, what? Are you kidding me? And I think that's the point Charles is trying to say. He didn't say it as delicate as that. But, Charles is Charles. He's going to, speak from the hip. And look, Lonzo's dad is just sticking up for his son. And if he truly believes that, that's great. You're supposed to have all the belief like that in your son. But you got to be careful what you say because there's a lot of bad boys out there that would love to prove you wrong.
Okay, but did your dad push you and Cheryl?
Yes, absolutely. But he wasn't going in front of the media and the camera saying, I was better than Michael Jordan. Right? That's basically what his dad is saying.
It's a good thing that he didn't do that.
No, thank you. Thank God, no.
Russell Westbrook Jr. III goes for 58 last night, and they lose. I don't know. Does that strengthen his MVP candidacy, or does it weaken it a little bit that you get 58 and you don't win?
It weakens. And for weeks now, I've been coming on your show, and you and I talk about this just about every week, who's the MVP between Harden and Westbrook, because really it was a two-man race for a long time. Now the door, in my opinion, is wide open because you're saying, what are you talking about? He's still averaging a triple-double. Yes. But at some point in time, you've got to factor in the team's success. And to be the MVP, I'm just looking at Russell's last 4 games. He's lost to Portland, then he lost to Phoenix, then he lost to Dallas, then he lost again to Portland. Worst case scenario, you've got to win 2 of those games to be the MVP. You're playing the bottom dwellers of each conference, and you've got to be able to win those games. You go 0-4 against those teams. The numbers were phenomenal, fantastic. But you look at Kawhi Leonard, what he's done. You look at what LeBron James has done, and you look at what James Harden has done, and their teams continue to win. I still have him as the front runner to win the MVP because he's doing something that has not been done in 55 years to average a triple-double. but we have to factor in team success as well. And right now, the Thunder are currently sitting 7th in the Western Conference and on a 4-game losing streak against teams where you should have at least been 500 over the last 4. Correct?
Correct. I think Harden.
You cannot lose to Portland, then Phoenix, then Dallas, then Portland again at home, and you score 58 and lose. You got to win at least 2 of those games.
I know that you have the Lakers and the Suns tomorrow night on TNT. Will you bring up the dysfunction of the Lakers front office and the attempted palace coup there with Jim Buss and his brothers against Jeannie?
Absolutely. You have to. I mean, that's part of the Lakers fabric. That's one of the big storylines, along with them hiring Rob Pelinka, the new general manager. You've got to talk about Magic, and you've got to talk about all that. That's part of the drama with the Lakers. And, it's funny because I'm going to rely on some of the old-time Showtime Laker greats. And I heard Michael Cooper and I heard Norm Nixon both talking, and they said, look, back in our day when we played, Jeannie Buss was the one who was hanging around her father and learning the business and by his side. We never saw any of the brothers. So I'm going to rely on a firsthand guys that were actually in it, that saw Jeannie, that are on Team Jeannie. So, yeah, we've got to bring all that up. All that's going to be on the table tomorrow when we're discussing, the Lakers drama going forward. What do they do? What does it mean to have an icon like Magic Johnson back in the mix? And, what's it going to be like to have Rob Pelinka, who was Kobe's agent, now being the general manager? What does that mean? Is it going to be a lot like the success of Bob Myers, who was a former agent and now has had success, with the Warriors? All that is going to be in play tomorrow. And another reason why to tune in to TNT and watch that barn burner, the Lakers versus the Suns.
10:30 Eastern on TNT. Reg also has the Mountain West Men's Tournament Championship game in Las Vegas coming up as well.
Theodore, don't you love this time of year? I mean, the playoffs are around the corner. March Madness. You've got spring training. This is the best time of the year, personally. I got baseball, I've got basketball, I've got drama, I've got my Danette, I've got Theodore. It doesn't get any better.
Safe travels, Reg.
You're the best.
Thanks,
Theodore.
buddy.
Danette, love y'all.
Reggie Aloysius Miller.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.